Most people think if a plant is on their side of the property line, they can put it wherever they want. But that is not always true. A lot of cities, HOAs, and local codes restrict what you can plant near fences, sidewalks, alleys, utility easements, drainage swales, and shared boundary lines. And number 4 on this list gets people in trouble all the time because they plant it for quick privacy, then it spreads under the fence, and suddenly the neighbor is calling code enforcement. Chuckles. I've also got a bonus tip at the end that can save you from planting something expensive in the wrong place and having to rip it out later. Hey, Root Keeper, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome to The Root Keeper, the channel where we learn how to grow smarter, spend less, and build gardens that actually last instead of turning into constant headaches. Size. This topic matters to me because I've watched good neighbors end up in stupid fights over plants that should have been planned better from day one. If you're someone who wants a yard that looks good without creating legal messes, do me a favor and hit subscribe right now. And turn on notifications because I share practical garden advice that helps you avoid expensive mistakes and grow with more confidence. It's free, and it takes 1 second. Now, I need to say this clearly before we go any further. Plant laws are local, very local. One town may allow something that the next town over bans within 5 feet of a line, a sidewalk, or a utility box. So when I say illegal here, I'm talking about plants that are commonly restricted, banned, or cited when planted too close to property lines, shared structures, public access areas, or neighboring lots. The point is not panic, the point is awareness. Because most people don't check until there's already a complaint on file. All right, let's get into it. Starting with number 11. Number 11 is rose bushes, the thorny boundary problem. This surprises people because roses feel harmless from a legal standpoint. They're ornamental, they smell nice, they're classic. But large shrub roses and climbing roses planted right on a fence line can become a real issue if the canes push through shared fencing or hang into a walkway. Varieties like Don Juan, New Dawn, and even knockout roses can spread 3 to 6 feet wide, and climbers can throw 8 to 12-foot canes in a season when they're happy. Here's what most people miss. The problem isn't just the plant, it's the access hazard. If a mail carrier, utility worker, kid, or neighbor gets scratched in a shared path or along an alley edge, that can turn into a complaint fast. I love roses, but I'd never cram a thorn-heavy variety on a property line and hope everyone else just works around it. Give them space and keep them trained inward. But if you think that's picky, wait until you see number 10. This next one causes trouble because people think ground cover doesn't count. Number 10 is mint, the cheerful invader. Peppermint, spearmint, chocolate mint. They all smell great, and they all spread like they've got something to prove. Mint runs by underground stems and can move well beyond the spot where you planted it in one growing season, especially in loose, moist soil. A patch that starts at 18 inches wide can push 4 to 6 feet in a year if conditions are right. That may not sound like a legal issue until it slides under the fence, pops up in the neighbor's lawn, and now you've created work on somebody else's property. The part nobody mentions is that some nuisance plant ordinances are written broadly. If your plant spreads onto a neighboring lot and causes repeated maintenance or damage, you can be told to remove it. Honestly, I grow mint too. Just never in open ground near a boundary, container only, every time. Now the next one is where things get more serious because this plant is banned in more places than people realize. Number 9 is running bamboo, the lawsuit starter. I'm not talking about clumping bamboo here. I mean running bamboo, the types that send rhizomes, which are underground stems, racing outward in every direction. Golden bamboo and black bamboo get planted for privacy because they fill in fast, sometimes reaching 20 to 30 feet tall depending on the type and climate. Sounds great until it comes up in the neighbor's vegetable bed, under the fence, or even through a cracked patio joint. Some cities and counties have specific bamboo ordinances requiring setbacks of 5, 10, even 20 feet from property lines, plus containment barriers 24 to 30 inches deep. Here's the trick. By the time you see shoots where they shouldn't be, the underground spread is already well underway. Removing a bad bamboo planting can cost $1,500 to $5,000 depending on access and size. That's real money for a privacy screen. Okay, this next one. I have a lot to say about this because people plant it for berries and birds and then act shocked when birds help it move next door. Number 8 is privet, the hedge that won't stay put. Japanese privet and Chinese privet are still planted in some areas for dense screening, and they can grow 10 to 15 feet tall with regular trimming. But in many regions they're considered invasive or are discouraged near property lines because birds spread the seeds everywhere. Here's what most people miss. Even if your town doesn't outright ban privet, HOAs and nuisance codes may still come after you if seedlings keep showing up in common areas, fence rows, or a neighbor's yard. The part nobody mentions is how much maintenance it creates once it escapes. Pulling volunteer privet out of beds year after year gets old fast. I've removed enough of it to know I don't want to do that again. If you want a hedge, there are better choices that don't try to colonize the whole block. But number 7 is one I almost didn't include, because technically it depends a lot on where you live. Still, when it matters, it really matters. Number 7 is oleander, the toxic hedge. In warm climates, oleander is used for screening because it handles heat, drought, road dust, and poor soil like a champ. It can grow 8 to 12 feet tall, bloom for months, and look tidy with very little attention. The issue is toxicity. Every part of it is poisonous. In some neighborhoods, especially where sidewalks are narrow or children and pets pass close by, planting toxic shrubs right on a shared line can trigger complaints or local restrictions. Here's what most people miss. The legal problem may not be the plant itself. It may be where it creates exposure. Around schools, common walkways, and HOA-managed edges, that matters. And honestly, even where it's allowed, I don't love using oleander in tight shared spaces. There are too many safer options. Hey, quick pause. If you're getting value from this, smash that like button. It helps more root keepers find this channel. And tell me in the comments, have you ever had a neighbor plant something that became your problem? I read every single comment. Okay, back to the list. Number 6 is willow, the waterline wanderer. Willows are beautiful, but their roots are famous for chasing moisture. Weeping willow can hit 30 to 50 feet tall with a huge spread, and the roots often travel well beyond the canopy. That becomes a boundary issue when planted near shared sewer lines, drainage easements, or irrigation corridors that run close to property edges. The part nobody mentions is that in some municipalities, the setback rules aren't just for the neighbor's sake, they're for public infrastructure. If roots damage a shared drain or city-maintained line and the planting was in violation, you may be the one paying for removal and repairs. That can go from a nice tree to a $2,000 headache in a hurry. I love willow near ponds. Near property lines? Not even close. Now the next one is where privacy planting turns into one of the most common neighborhood disputes out there. Number 5 is leyland cypress, the giant nobody-sized correctly. People plant leylands because they grow fast, sometimes 3 to 4 feet per year, and they create a quick green wall. The problem is mature size. These trees can hit 60 to 70 feet tall and 15 to 25 feet wide. So that cute row planted 4 feet off the fence can become a towering mess that shades the neighbor's yard, drops debris across the line, blocks sight lines, and crowds power easements. Here's what most people miss. Some local codes regulate height and clearance near corners, driveways, and utility access points. So it's not just about being on your side, it's about what that plant becomes. I've seen people spend years topping these things, then remove them anyway because the space was wrong from the start. And number 4 is the one I teased earlier because it gets sold like the easy answer to privacy. Number 4 is running clumping confusion. Bamboo planted by people who don't know which kind they bought. This is different from number 9 because this is the real-world mistake, not the plant category alone. Somebody buys bamboo from a big box store, sticks it 2 feet from the fence, and assumes it'll behave. Then, 3 summers later, shoots are coming up in the neighbor's gravel path. Some labels are vague, some sellers don't explain the difference well, and some homeowners, honestly, never ask. Here's the trick. If the tag doesn't clearly say clumping and list a variety known to stay tight, don't trust it near a line. Running types can travel 10 feet or more underground before surfacing. That's exactly why this one starts arguments, because by the time the issue is obvious, it's already crossed the border. But if you think that causes fights, wait until you see number 3. This one gets people cited because it blocks something the city actually cares about. Number 3 is any tall hedge planted in a site triangle, especially arborvitae and photinia. A site triangle is the clear space near a driveway or street corner that allows drivers and pedestrians to see each other. Most homeowners never hear that term until code enforcement shows up. Arborvitae can grow 12 to 15 feet tall for smaller forms and much taller for large types. Red-tip photinia often reaches 10 to 15 feet too. If these are planted near a corner lot, alley exit, or driveway line, they can block visibility and create a safety hazard. And that's where local law gets very real. Many cities limit plant height to 24 or 30 inches in those zones. Gone over that? You may be forced to prune or remove it. This is one of those boring rules people ignore until it matters. Then it matters a lot. And the next one is one I almost put at number 1, because the damage can be expensive and the legal side can get ugly fast. Number 2 is tree of heaven, the invasive nightmare. If you know this tree, you probably already groaned. Tree of heaven grows fast, tolerates awful soil, and sends up root suckers, new shoots from the roots, all over the place. A single tree can reach 40 to 60 feet, and suckers can pop up 20 feet or more from the main trunk. In many states and counties, it's actively discouraged or targeted because it spreads aggressively and supports spotted lanternfly populations in some regions. Here's what most people miss. If a regulated invasive species on your property spreads across a line, you may not just have a neighbor issue, you may have a local compliance issue too, and removing it is no picnic. Cut it wrong and it often comes back harder. I'm not going to lie. This is one of my least favorite plants on earth. And now, number 1. This is the one that causes the most predictable, avoidable, expensive property line trouble. Number 1 is large trees planted directly over or beside utility easements, especially silver maple, poplar, and eucalyptus depending on region. I know that sounds broader than a single plant, but stay with me because this is where the real legal risk lives. Utility easements are the strips where cities or utility companies have the right to access lines, drains, or equipment. Homeowners plant in them all the time because they look like their yard. Then the tree matures, roots spread, branches interfere with service, and one day the utility company shows up and cuts it hard or orders removal. Silver maple can hit 50 to 80 feet, hybrid poplar grows shockingly fast, and eucalyptus can become huge in the right climate. Here's what most people miss. You may be allowed to plant there, but not anything that interferes with access, lines, or maintenance. That difference matters. If your planting causes damage or blocks utility work, being technically on your property won't save you. And emotionally, this one stings because people get attached to shade trees. Then they lose them all at once. Now for that bonus tip, because this can save you a lot of grief. Before you plant anything bigger than a small perennial within 10 feet of a property line, fence, sidewalk, alley, easement, or corner, do a 3-part check. First, look up your city or county planting setbacks. Second, check your plat map or survey so you know where the line actually is. Third, call the HOA or utility office if there's even a hint of shared access. I started doing this years ago anytime I helped plan a boundary bed, and it changed everything. 10 minutes of checking can save you hundreds or thousands in removal costs and keep you on good terms with the people living next door. So there you have it. 11 plants and planting situations that can get you into real trouble near property lines. Here's what I want you to do. Pick one edge of your yard this week and inspect it. Just one. Check what's planted there, how far it is from the line, and what that plant will look like in 5 years, not just right now. If this helped you, share it with someone who's planning a privacy hedge or redoing their fence line. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button. We're building something here. Tell me in the comments, what plant causes the most neighbor drama where you live? Keep growing deep. I'll see you in the next one.